Thank you for having me, and greetings to all the listeners of Star FM. My name is Wilbert Mutoko. I am a student of life. I love learning.
I like the way you just want to sum it up like that, like
Yeah.
a student of life. I mean, that's a very nice way to say it. But maybe just I thought you were even going to say doctor at the beginning. Then you removed the doctor, and you started with your first name.
Yeah.
Okay, just give us a little bit about sometimes when you tell us who you are, I think panikamaka attention sometimes katinoita to detail. Sometimes vanongonzwa uchingotaura zita rako usina zvimwewo zvaunenge kuti umwewo mukomana ari kupfuurawo zvake.
Thanks, RK. So I'm a business consultant. I am based in Botswana. I'm a business consultant and I'm an educator. I'm also an executive coach and I'm an author. I've authored 4 books and published 3 out of the 4. I mainly speak on emotional intelligence, entrepreneurial development, and leadership.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful. Powerful. I was I was just going through some how do I say it? I was going through some. There's a guy called Vusi, I think from SA.
Yes.
I follow him and I just want to tap into his mindset. He's got an exciting mindset.
Right.
And he said something that I don't know. As we start, he said something that got me thinking. He says, you know what, business people or successful people do not need motivation for them to succeed. It just takes discipline. And I was like, whoa, for that moment I was like, yeah, but it does make sense. You don't need to be motivated, or you don't need anybody to sort of give you some motivation, but you just need to be disciplined to apply yourself to what is supposed to happen. But I don't know, what's your take on that?
Interesting. Thank you so much, RK. So yeah, to a certain extent, I agree with Vusi Tembekwayo to say that it's not only motivation that you need for you to make it in anything that you do, particularly as an entrepreneur. But what I believe, remember, when we talk of motivation, there is intrinsic motivation, the motivation that comes from within you, the drive that is in you.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the external or extrinsic motivation. So yes, as much as we need extrinsic motivation or external motivation or motivation from other people, the motivation from within is much more important. Now, I wonder how you can be disciplined when you lack intrinsic motivation. You really need intrinsic motivation that will now guide you to become disciplined towards your goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just learned there. He said intrinsic
and extrinsic.
and extrinsic.
Yeah.
Aiwa, tatotanga kudzidza. Asi toda tizopfavisa mashoko kuitira kuti tikwanise kudyawo
Chokwadi.
zvamuri kupakura nhasi. Today we're looking at personal development as an entrepreneur, and I think when we were discussing as to how are we going to sort of handle our show, and you said let's look at personal development as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I was like, yeah, excellent. And the reason I said yeah, excellent is because a lot of entrepreneurs out there are winging it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Are winging it, and there is no deliberate focus on personal development.
Right.
So that, like I mentioned, that the need for whatever we're doing to go beyond your own survival or your own life, but that your children's children
Yes.
can partake of the work,
Right.
the establishment.
Right.
And so we want to look at personal development for entrepreneurs or as an entrepreneur.
Excellent.
Where do we start?
All right. Beautiful. I think you having talked about intergenerational businesses brings us to the fact that one day I was passing through Bulawayo and I saw this building started in 1896. And it got me thinking, you mean from 1896 to this date, that business is still running? How many of such businesses do we have running in this country which go beyond 100 years? Because remember, whatever you cannot see, you cannot achieve.
Yeah.
Even in the good book, we see God talking to Jeremiah. He says, what do you see? What do you see? So unless you can see far away, you can't go far. If you look at the top 10 oldest companies in the world, top 10 oldest companies in the world, number one is a company called Congo Gumi. It's about 1,426 years old, and it's in Japan. In the top 10 of the oldest companies in the world, 6 of them are from Japan. Now, all those companies in the top 10 are 1,000 years or more older. And unfortunately, when you look at those businesses, you don't see any from Africa. And what we are saying then is, how do we build businesses that last long?
Yeah.
And when we use the word build, we all know that building is not funny. Building is not easy. For you to gather materials, to put together the money, and to be able to build a home or to build a house, it takes time. And if you want to build imba yemudurikidzanwa kana kuti mansion, you also need a foundation that is deep. And interestingly, for you to be able to build such kind of a house, you have to start with a plan. Or a plan, right? You start with a plan. Kune dzimba dzatinovaka kumusha dziya dzedzi dzisina plan. Inongotanga kutongogadzirwa. And most of the time they don't last long. Why? Because even the foundation is not strong enough. So it begins with us thinking strategically, seeing beyond where we are right now. I wonder how many of us right here are thinking what is going to be happening in my business in the next 100 years. 100 years can actually be too much. For some people, in the next 10 years, in the next 5 years, they are not thinking of that. They're just thinking of putting food on the table.
Yeah.
And we are saying we need long-term thinking, long-term planning.
And that's reality, eh?
Yeah.
We're thinking about bread and butter issues.
Yes.
School fees,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the most important things, strategic thinking. Thinking in the long term. Because when we talk of strategy, remember the word strategy comes from the word strategos, which is Greek for army leader, military general. And we know that in the military, when it comes to winning a battle or winning a war, it depends on what strategy you have. If you have a good strategy, before you start fighting, you have already won 50%. And the question is, how many of our businesses actually have strategies? Do we even write it down? Or we are just hustling? Hustling is okay. It has got its place.
Yeah.
But after some time, we need to ask ourselves, where are our businesses going? And as a business consultant, one of the things that I see is that people just start a business without even a business plan, without a strategy. At the beginning, it's not much of a problem. But as time goes on, you employ 5 people, 10 people, 23 people. Before you know it, you have a lot of problems because you have no policies, you have no strategy, you have no systems in place. You see? So I think strategic thinking is one of the things. And then the second thing, which you already mentioned, is personal development, which I believe is the most important investment that every one of us must make, is personal development.
Let's just quickly zone in on strategic planning, thinking, what are some of those fundamentals, what are some of those, because as you say, I'm sure somebody's reached a place where there's a lot of conflict now.
Right.
There's a lot of the turbulences or the, they're failing to point out where to solve.
Perfect.
It could be because you said at that inception, at the place where you're beginning to embark on your business, you must have a plan.
Right.
You must have a strategy.
Right.
I didn't have a strategy. To make a mari, to kutengesa zvinhu zvedu zviri kufaya.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But hazvirambe zvichingofaya.
Right.
Zvinozonosvika pamwe pa breaking point and pamwe pekuti now you're not sure kuti kune vavengeri hama here dzakutumirawo, you know, some people even begin to think kune veukama vakuita jealous nebusiness rangu.
Right.
And yet what I hear you to be saying is strategy. What are some of those key fundamentals when you're formulating your strategy for your business?
Thank you very much, RK. So, for starters, what is your mission?
Okay.
What is your mission? What are you out to do? What do you want to achieve? And then what is your vision? Who do you see yourself as in the future? So, for example, you are a construction company. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What do you stand for? That's your mission.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself, or who do you see yourself as in the next 10, 15, 20, 100 years? That's your vision.
I've always confused the two, you know.
Right.
Sometimes you're trying to put your mission in place. You want to write your mission, and you're like, you know, vision.
Right.
But I like the way you've sort of put it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the vision is just to say, who do you see yourself as in the future? And then, what are your values? What are your guiding principles? What are those things that you say, in this organization, in this entity, this is what we stand for?
I like that, but I want to ask you something there as well, seeing that you're a business consultant and you've worked with a lot of businesses.
Right.
Sometimes when I look at the values that a lot of businesses, right, it's the same around integrity.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can almost you can almost feel like, is this just not a copy and paste?
Yeah.
How do you formulate you know, values that are genuinely, or there are certain values that should be characteristic to business?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I get you.
Because I see this duplicated. It's like copy and paste.
Right. Thank you so much for that. So what I've seen that happens most of the time is that many businesses have no strategy. And the few that have strategies, either the strategy was crafted by a consultant somewhere, and this strategy is not even understood by the management.
True.
And then in some cases, the top management or the executives, they sit down around the coffee table or whatever, and they say, what are we going to call this company? What is our vision? What is our mission? What are our values? They just write something without involving the team. Many times we take for granted the people we hire, the team. If you want your team to succeed, you have to bring them to the table. So a successful strategy is a strategy that involves the whole staff complement. Whereby, before you even draft a strategy, you need to do an environmental scan. Now, when we talk environmental scan, we're already talking research. And from my experience, everywhere I speak, and I've seen this in almost every continent I've ever spoken, whether I'm speaking in government setting or in non-governmental or in the private sector, it's almost the same thing. When I ask, how many of you love research? You will find 1 out of 100.
Research is a big weakness. It is a big weakness. It is a big weakness.
Yeah. And if I were to take it on a lighter note, some of the problems that we have, even in our homes as married couples or in our relationships, is because we fall in love. We don't research. You begin to unravel things that have happened in the past to your lover. As time goes on, you're already together. You have already put your life together with this person. But you didn't do research. You see? So the same applies to business. People don't want to research. Now, when we talk of environmental scan, you do external environmental scan. You want to understand the external environment. You also do internal environmental scan. Right? As you do that, you need to understand, what do your employees think? Where are you doing well? What should you do better? Then you also look at the competition. That's external now. You look at the competition. Then you look at other factors, international factors, technological factors, political factors, environmental factors, and all those things. They need to feed into your strategy. So it's a lot of things that come in there, but what we are basically saying is we need to have a long-term plan for the business. And it shouldn't be just crafted by one person or by the executives. It should be everybody involved. That's a strategy that will work. Because tell you what, RK, the reason why most strategies are not accepted by employees, it's because they were never involved. Anything that you are never involved in, you don't own it. So you will resist it because you don't understand it. You feel like it's their strategy. It has nothing to do with me. You're being forced. This is what we are supposed to do, but you don't even understand it.
Wow, interesting. I don't want to be caught up in there somewhere, but I think you're saying very important things, because every employee in any situation, in any workspace, is a part of the success story.
Yes.
And you seem to mention that if they're not involved in the strategy development,
Yes.
they don't own it,
Yeah.
and so their contribution is usually half-baked.
Yes.
And then I think one of the exciting things, or I don't know, should I say exciting, but one of the sad realities is the lack of research.
Yeah.
The lack of research. Tinongofunga mari. I think it's because we are thinking money.
Money.
I must make money.
Money. Yeah.
And then we set out on shallow foundations.
Right.
Where we have not done extensive research.
Right.
And I really like how you put it across. Research is very, very critical, even for us when we come on radio. You don't come on radio just winging things, and you've got to do a bit of research. You've got
Definitely.
to sit down, read, and learn from as many people.
Yes.
Why? Because you're going to speak into so many people's lives. So I think research, hey, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot there that a lot will almost, I think many people will be like, yeah, I need to strip down this thing.
Yes.
And start all over again. 28 minutes past 9 is the time. Dr. Wilbert Mutoko is with us tonight, and we are looking at strategic thinking as well as personal development for entrepreneurs. I'm very sure you remember this guy here. His name is Mateo, and he came through with friends. And he said, a true story here. And what would Arugare? Rotombotanga watumbo sangana nenhamo dzakasiyana siyana. But zvinozoita still. I don't know if it still works. So I'm wanongotanga zvinhu zvavo zvakarongeka. I'm not too sure whether it still works, this one. Powerful, dog.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Powerful.
Thank you.
Maybe that would you my age that was right.
And it here.
Yeah.
Not 10.
Holding leadership positions in the public sector, private sector, and non-governmental organizations. He is a professional speaker, keynote speaker, strategy consultant, executive coach, and author of 4 self-help books. He's our guest tonight, and I hope if you've got any particular questions as we go through our conversation, take advantage. Take advantage of this opportunity. You may never get it, but it may also be life-changing as well. Now, I can tell you that he has spoken and also consulted in Europe, Lesotho, Dubai, South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Botswana for organizations such as Enterprise Europe Network, African Union, Government of Botswana, Government of Lesotho, Lucara Botswana, ABSA, the British Council, UNISA. I mean, I could go on and on. Thank you so much for hanging out with us until midnight. The name's RK. In a few minutes, we get into Faith on Trial. I introduced Mbuya Mavu last week as well as Mkomata Uya Chinama. They come back in the studio again tonight. So do make sure you stay by. I saw the contributions that you gave last week. You were really, really enjoying the conversation. It's going to be interesting as well. So make sure you stand by for that. We've got 26 minutes with Dr. Wilbert Mutoko. Now, Doc, we're talking about strategy there, and you spoke about research and just plan, just having a plan, mission and vision.
Yes.
And I confess that, I've always mixed the two. And you said something as well. Sometimes when we consult, somebody writes these things for us, but we never participate. We just pay them, and they write good English.
Yeah.
Like we like to say.
Yeah.
But we don't carry it. We don't own it.
Yes.
So I also seem to be getting from you as well, Kuti. That process is a process that we need to be involved in.
Yes.
It mustn't just be you've got a consultant who is writing it for you, gives you the document, and you feel good because it's got a great layout.
Yeah.
But you also must have an exchange.
Yes.
Understand what exactly the pillars
Yes.
that you're putting in place.
Yes.
And then we're moving out of strategy into personal development.
Right.
I think that's something else that I think is key.
Yes.
Like I said, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're winging it. We are winging it, and we never have time to self-introspect,
Right.
so that we can then look at our skill sets and see if we are competent and if we are, relevant to whatever we're trying to do.
Right.
But take us through that personal development for entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, RK, and thank you, our listeners. With your permission, RK, I just wanted to sort of wrap up on the segment we were talking about strategy. I know there's a lot to talk about, but you see, when you don't have a strategy, for example, it's difficult for you to put systems in place. Let's look at a few systems that somebody needs in a company. For example, performance appraisal system. I remember one time I was talking to a successful MD, their company is doing very well, and I was asking them, so how do you reward your employees? He said, no, we give awards. Okay, how do you give awards?
Yeah.
He said, no, we just vote. Okay,
That's
you
interesting.
vote.
Based on what?
You see, so that tells you. So I was trying to show the MD the reason why some things are not going well in the company is because there is no strategy. When you have a strategy, your strategy will help you to come up with systems like performance review system. You have your balance scorecard in there that helps you to check the performance of your employees. And not only that, even your accounting system. Because you find you talk, sometimes an MD comes to me, you know what, we need your help, things are going wrong. How? Financially and all that. I have a meeting with the finance director. We just have a chat. And as we are talking, I ask simple questions. The questions that an external auditor will ask. But remember, it's not like very serious. I just want to get some tidbits. And as we are talking, I ask, so how do you do your bank reconciliation? They're like, bank reconciliation is a problem because we have got 5 different departments or 5 different companies under one group. And the MD, withdraws money from this company. They put it in this company. Already you have disorder.
Yeah.
So if we are talking building intergenerational business and companies are crisscrossing, the money is crisscrossing, already we have problems. Or maybe the managing director or chief executive officer is taking money from the company for personal use. And that one is big.
Yeah.
Many times people think they are doing well. Remember, a company is a legal entity. It stands on its own. And you stand on your own. The money for the company is for the company.
Yeah.
It's not for you. So every entrepreneur must have a salary. I think let's leave that one and go to personal development.
But I like the ending there.
Yeah.
Everyone must have a salary.
Have a salary.
Yeah,
So when you plan, you are planning according to your salary.
that's true.
Don't try to be humble and say my business is not doing much, so I don't have a salary, but you end up taking everything in the business.
I'll tell you why I say that. Because I also work with artists, and I thought I need to say that because one of the cultures, one of the things that I'm trying to foster in them is a sense of salary, visa payments when you do performances.
Yes.
Do you understand? Sometimes you get hired. You get paid 1,500. It's not all your money, because if you want it to be business and sustainable, you must get a salary at the end of the month.
Thank you.
And then the other money you invest in the business, and the business grows, and then so that's why I thought that salary thing you mentioned, I just needed to rub it in. Kuti, my artist, please, business remusic iri
Yes.
hazvireva kuti gigi rese warawaridza unofanirwa kudya mari yacho iyoyo unofanirwa kuve nesalary yaunotambira kupera kwomwedzi.
Yes.
That way you're headed for success.
I think you have said it so well.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. So we go into personal development. I grew up in the rural area. I like when people say introduce yourself, I say I'm a student of life and I'm a village boy. So to grow up in the village and then you end up becoming a professional speaker, speaking internationally, it means something happened on the way, which is not just the books. That's why you see at the beginning you were saying you are not putting your title. Anybody can have a title, but it's not the title that performs. So yes, I'm Dr. Wilbert Mutoko, but I prefer to call myself Wilbert Mutoko. Not that there is anything wrong with the doctor aspect, but what I have seen is that self-education matters more than the school education that we get. I remember one time I was being interviewed by one business guru and he was saying, you have a PhD in business management. Do you think everybody to be successful as an entrepreneur, they must have a PhD? And I said, education is good, but it depends on what sort of education you have. It doesn't necessarily mean that when you have a degree, not just PhD, it doesn't necessarily mean that when you have a degree, you are going to make it. We all know that there are people who are highly educated, they are highly schooled, but they lack personal education, and they are not going anywhere. So it is the personal development that will take a rural boy to grow until they become professional speaker. By the way, professional speaker, what it means is that every year there is a certain amount of money that I make from speaking.
Okay.
That includes consulting and coaching, right? That amount of money, if I don't make it, I cease to be called professional.
Okay.
I can become associate or something else.
Okay.
And this must be proven by my accountant. Do you get the point?
I get it.
So for you to become a professional speaker and become an author, what are you writing if you are not reading?
Yeah.
So one thing that I also thought we need to bring out here is, remember, human beings are 3 in 1. All right? It's spirit, soul, and body.
Body.
Many times we are nourishing our bodies. We make sure that we eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, even with snacks in between,
True.
to make sure the body is maintained.
Yeah.
Our dear ladies, they spend hours in the salon trying to make sure that they are looking good. What is looking good is the body,
Body.
right? What about your spirit? Because when we say personal development, we are not just talking about your mind. What about your spirit? If you are going to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need to be spiritually strong, right? So spirit, soul, and body. When we say soul, soul is 3 in 1. It's the mind, the will, and the emotions. So your mind, if it is not developed, you are not going anywhere. Sometimes people wonder why their business is at the same level that it was in the past 5 years. As long as you are not growing, it means you are dwindling. Somebody said, if you are not reading, you are dying.
Yes.
And we have entrepreneurs that are proud of not reading. They say, no. When it comes to books, no, my friend, I don't like books. I need to go check cash. Urukuchaga cash, but the cash ichaita dry up. You need to keep on going up. Bill Gates is arguably the richest man in the world. At the moment, he's not the richest. We know that. But when we look at how many years he has been the richest man, we know that Bill Gates is a big man. But Bill Gates reads a minimum of 1 hour every day. Bill Gates takes weeks of reading vacations. And my question is, what is he reading? What is he still reading when he's multi-billionaire? And some of us, you just have 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, or even 1,000 or 100. And you are not reading. God have mercy.
Yeah.
We need to develop ourselves. So we said the soul is the mind, the will, and the emotions. If you don't have a strong will, you can't make it in business. Business is tough. It's not just for everyone. And then your emotions. Emotional intelligence is a big thing, and it's something that we talk about a lot these days.
I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah. Emotional intelligence. We are simply saying being able to manage your emotions and the emotions of the people around you. And many of us fail dismally.
Too much.
If you look at many organizations right now, whether it's government, NGO, or private sector, talk to anyone, just carry out a survey, or even just ask people anyhow. You will see people are not happy. Why? Because we have people in leadership positions who have a zero level of emotional intelligence. Probably they have an IQ of 97%. So as entrepreneurs, we need to grow in our emotional intelligence. We need to make an informed decision to say, you know what, I want to be better at managing my emotions and the emotions of others.
Can I come in there?
Yes.
You mentioned the reading culture.
Right.
Reading widely, reading extensively.
Right.
Don't you think that also informs our emotional intelligence?
Thank you. You can say that again. Yeah.
Because I always feel people that have this emotional eruptive behavior and approach are people that have no capacity in terms of they're not open-minded, they are not factual, they just react because they're empty.
Yes.
Their emotions are the easiest place to go to.
Yes.
Could I be right there?
Very.
Okay.
The more you read, the more you develop your mind, the more you develop your emotions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. This is power packed. This is power packed, and you're getting it for absolutely. This is a professional speaker here. We have to tonight. And if you've got any questions, we've got about 15 minutes to go. I'd like for you to feel free to send those questions as well as we learn personal development as an entrepreneur. When was the last time you held a book to read? Have you set aside time to read?
Right.
And sometimes we look at it as a mountain. The reason we look at it as a mountain is because you're thinking, like right now, you just talked about Bill Gates, an hour vacation on reading. You don't have to go on a vacation for now.
Right.
Maybe just set aside 30 minutes. Start.
Yes.
You've got to start somewhere. And when you start, then 45, and then before you know it, you are reading in between your deals and things like that.
Yes.
And so we're talking about personal development. I wonder when was the last time you read a book, or you're just busy. And these days, the biggest excuse is we are hustling. We're hustling. I think we'll take up questions, we'll take up thoughts, opinions as well, reactions to our conversation, and then we'll wrap it up.
Perfect.
Her name is Fungai Mujay. And in this song here, she spells it out. She says, Shanda Nasi. We need a part 2.
All right.
We need a part 2. When are you going back?
I should be going back on Monday.
Next week?
Yeah. But I'll be back again, hopefully in November.
Okay. It would be nice to have you in studio on Monday as well next week, but if you're leaving on Monday, then... Can you hear what somebody says? Interesting lecture there, RK. Kindly send me back an audio of the whole lecture. Thanks.
All right.
I was thinking like that as well.
All right.
I really was thinking about that as well.
Thank you.
I'm going to take this and then share it.
Right.
Yeah. Someone here says, I don't know how you would react to this. Because I always want to let you know, I don't want to surprise you. So you either say, let's pass, let's deal with it, or let's pass.
Right.
Good evening, RK. Your guest has good points theoretically, but practically in this country it won't work. Strategy seems pointless in a country like Zim. I'm sure if he is to relocate back home, he will sing Mananga Utapira. Why not teach us how to survive in the real world we live in Admire and Harare?
I think we can respond to it.
Are you sure?
There is no harm in hustling.
Okay.
That's why we said hustling has got its place.
Yeah.
But we are saying isn't it, RK? You were saying we want to build intergenerational businesses.
Yes.
So there will obviously be a speaker who will come in the studio who talks about hustling.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about how do you build your business so that it can move on to the next level. Yeah.
Okay.
So it may not apply to everyone, but it can just help someone to see that, okay, for now I'm hustling, but there's this thing called a strategy that I would need.
Yeah.
There's this thing called a performance appraisal system, and all. As my business grows, for it to become intergenerational, we need things like this.
Yeah. 100%. So do you want me to read it? I'll read it.
Yeah, it's okay.
She says nothing can break you down, but the reason you break down is because you are not taking time to personally develop yourself. This is what we're talking about. She's encouraging with Dishande Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But you know what? Taking some information, taking some knowledge as we're doing right now on the Entrepreneurs Lounge, and you definitely will fly higher than you ever imagined. You've got to be reading the WhatsApp messages just now. Please send yours now. In case you miss the number or you don't know what the number is to come through, it's 0775897897. Trust Mandevu, thank you for coming through. You know what Trust is, Doc?
Yes.
He says, interesting lecture there, RK. Kindly send me back an audio of the whole lecture. Thanks.
Thank you, Trust.
I'll do my best to send it. I'll keep your number and then see how I can send it to you. I thought that as well. I really thought this was a very, very interesting lecture that, you know what, we need to share it. And I had another message as well, which I think I've misplaced somehow. I don't know how I misplaced it. Goodness gracious. Okay, do send through your messages as well. 0775897897. Let's hear what comes to mind, or what are the things that you think you may need to ask the good doctor before I let him out. I'm sure we're going to have another edition. I'm sure we have to have another edition. Yeah, I think the question I read it before, where the guy was saying, no, the good doctor is saying something very good, but theoretically, it sounds very good theoretically, but practically in a Zimbabwean scenario, it doesn't work, you know?
Right.
And he says, because you're based in Botswana, maybe it's easier for you to say that. But if you were here, you know, you'd be singing Mananga Gutapira. I don't know what would be your reaction to that.
Okay, thank you so much, RK, and thank you for the person who sent in that comment. So, what I would say is this: yes, I might be based in Botswana, but I'm a consultant consulting in different continents, as you have heard earlier on, and even here in Zimbabwe, I'm mentoring people who are in business as well. So, what I have seen is that I think the point they are making is concerning the strategy, the mission, the vision, and stuff like that. I don't know whether they also mean that even personal development is not needed in Zimbabwe. What I can just say is, whether you are in Zimbabwe or you are in which part of the world, if we are to build intergenerational wealth, if we want businesses that will last 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, then surely we need a strategy. We need a long-term plan. And then the person was saying, why not just teach us hustling? Surely there will be another speaker who will come into the studio who talks about hustling. But I came in to talk about strategic thinking and personal development. So hustling has got its place. I have hustled before, and I respect that. If you are at the stage of hustling, probably you are trying this, you are trying that, you are trying that. It's okay. But remember, we mentioned research. In Zimbabwe here, if you are going to make it, things change so quickly, which means if you don't respect the research, you are going to be producing products or services that have expired.
Whoa.
That nobody needs.
Whoa.
So
That's too
if
deep.
you say what I'm saying is theoretical,
Yeah.
it's very practical.
Hey, yeah. You will bring on the market products that have expired.
Yes.
I want to bring it back to music, where I also just have a passion.
Right.
You see an artist excited bringing music material to radio, but the music material is material for 1985.
Oh God.
The music style is 1985. They're still doing roots reggae music,
Right.
or they're still doing jazz. They're caught up in that jazz bubble, but they're failing to realize that every generation creates its own narrative, creates a certain meeting point.
Right.
And if you fail to adjust, to compromise,
Yes.
so when
Yes.
you release your music, like you are saying, yaka expire kudara.
Yes.
You're excited, but yaka sosara kudara.
iri kunakidza iwewe saka paunenge wairiliza woisa mukabhodhi mako uchiteerera iwewe nevana vako kana nehama dzako
Yeah.
handitika
Yeah.
even bhuku chairo ukanyora bhuku rinokunakidza iwewe uchariverenga iwewe nehama dzako. But if you want to be in business, customer is king, customer is queen. So how do you know what the customer needs? You must research.
Fantastic. Dr. Wilbert Mutoko is with us tonight, and we've got a few minutes with him, about 4 minutes. I'm going to give you the 4 minutes, Doc.
Yes.
Uninterrupted. 4 minutes. I'm sure you want to sort of summarize, or maybe you want to extend what you've said already, because I think you've emphasized.
Right.
If you need to just extend a little bit, give us one more.
Right.
Give us one more for the road.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, on personal development, we have talked a lot about reading. Some people say, I don't like reading. I like listening to audio books.
Yeah.
So there is no excuse. If you don't like reading, why don't you try audio books?
Yeah.
Maybe you are not into books. What I like about books, the secrets of men and women are in their books. It doesn't matter how much we will talk here. It's until I read. If RK is speaking and then he has written a book, I want to see his book. Because in his book, he will have taken probably years to put together his story. And I can get every information from there that can actually change my life. So reading is important. If you don't like reading, then go for audiobooks. The next thing is mentorship. Mentorship is very important. When you get a mentor, it's like you are going from ground level to 18th floor with an escalator or an elevator, right?
Yeah.
It cannot be compared with somebody who is walking, following the stairs. The one using the stairs will get there much later than the one who went there using an elevator. The one using the stairs will be tired by the time they get to 18th floor. People who try to do things by themselves without using mentors, they are disadvantaging themselves. You can get mentors for free. There are some mentors that you don't pay. Some people who are just excited to help you if you show that you honor the person for how they have gotten to where they are. So I want to be a good DJ. And I see that RK is the man. I must find a way to get to RK. Now, what people do is they will meet RK and say, I want to be like you. Can you mentor me? Okay, good. How many of the videos that I have done so far that you have watched? None. Maybe RK has written a book. Have you seen my book? No. Have you read any of my posts on social media? No. Maybe RK produces an album. Have you listened to my album? No. Then you are not a serious mentee. Mentorship is big. Most of the people who are highly successful will tell you, I was mentored by this one, this one, this one, this one. So if you want to avoid pitfalls that successful people have gone through, mentorship is a big thing. And this is what I want to say to Zimbabwe, to our people. As you are being mentored, also mentor someone. All of us must have a minimum one mentee. You can have paid mentors and non-paid mentors. A mentor can be your uncle who is successful in what you are trying to do. Right?
Yeah.
But there is also somebody somewhere who wants to learn from you. So if we can mentor people who are coming after us, then we are actually helping intergenerational transfer of competencies. So it's reading, it's mentorship. Those two things, I think for today, I will end with those two. Let there be mentorship. Even in our companies, when you have a new person, you do training for them. You must pair them with a mentor. Somebody who has been in the organization for a long time, who can transfer skills and competencies to this new person. And as we do that, we have a strong human resource. And then we can be able to build a company that can grow and continue to grow. And you continue making money.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming through. There's just one. I'm going to try and squeeze this one here.
Okay.
Try and squeeze this one. It says, "Good evening, RK. I do believe that what the doctor is saying is practical, but the challenge comes when you want to balance emotional intelligence, relations, and vision.
All right.
This is what usually causes most entrepreneurs to lose focus and end up employing relatives or friends who usually don't share the same vision. Hence, our progress is retarded."
Right.
So, doctor, the question is, how do you balance emotional intelligence and doing what's best for the investment? This is Reginald Shamano, #Chips Cycle Technologies, Newlands, Harare.
Thank you, Reginald, for that question. So what I will say is, I remember, RK, you said earlier on that even when it comes to emotional intelligence, we need to read. So what I've seen most people doing is, those who read, many times they read financial books. They want to make money, so they read books on money. We need to have a balanced diet for our soul. It's important for you, maybe you are reading a book on money, the next one is on relationships. The next one is on health. The next one is about your mind. The next one is on emotional intelligence. Another one again is on money. Let's have a balanced menu. Even when you listen to videos on YouTube, don't continue listening to videos on marriage only. Marriage, you will become successful in marriage, but you will be a failure in money. You can be successful in money, your wife or your husband, you are happy, but you are not reading about raising successful children, and you lose out on your children. You start having problems. So let's be balanced. Every area of our life, let it be developed. That's what I will say in short.
Yeah. Look, the questions now start trickling in, I don't know why you do this, guys. We gave you 15 good minutes to do that. Good Doc, would you like to share your contacts again, socials, as well as if you've got a WhatsApp where people can subscribe as well, just so that they can, get some more, is that doable?
Thank you very much. So they can reach out to my personal email. It's wilbertmutoko@gmail.com. wilbertmutoko@gmail.com, or our company email, info@successtrainingafrica.com. info@successtrainingafrica.com, or WhatsApp +267 7182 4591 +267 7182 4591. Thank you so much, RK, and thank you, our listeners.
Please note that the views expressed in the following program are not necessarily those